I've become a big fan of this board, this MakerBase MKS DLC 32 version 2.1, but it's very different from setting up a regular Gerbil board. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit deeper how to do this. I had a video on just installing FluidNC on here. This one's going to go a little bit deeper, but still cover the basics. I've also got a DRV 8825 driver board here. I've got a gantry with both a motor and an end stop. Okay, so first thing we need is some software. So I'm going to go to Google and type in FluidNC. Hit enter. And the first one here is on a GitHub link. Let's get that. We need two things from here. I've already downloaded it, but I'm going to show you guys what to download. So click on the code and download a zip. Okay. Next thing you do is go down here to the releases. Click on the stable release. Okay. So let's see. It says use stable release. Oh yeah, it says latest. That we're good here. Okay. So we want the Win64 file here. Okay. So click on that and download that. Okay. Then we go to our file explorer. Go to downloads. Scroll down to our FluidNC main and our FluidNC Win64. So extract both those, unzip them, and let's start with the Win64 folder. So I'm going to open this up, open the folder up here, and we have two options, okay? We can install it with Bluetooth or install it with Wi-Fi. First thing we need to do is plug the board in. So I'm going to give it power. I'm also going to give it USB, and it doesn't matter which order you do that, as long as they're both plugged in. Okay, so now I want to install the Wi-Fi version here. That's the one I prefer. It should connect it, automatically find it, and start installing it. There it goes. Cool. So if you're doing this, make sure you don't have any other ESP32s connected to your computer, because it'll basically, the first one it finds is going to install FluidNC. So make sure you don't like overwrite your other projects or your other boards. All right, we're done here. Cool. So it tries to open up config.yaml. That's good. That's default. Okay. All right, next thing we need to do is edit the YAML. I'll show you guys that here. So we go back to our file explorer and go back to downloads. And the other folder we unzipped, FluidNC-main, let's open that up. Open that up. And then go to example configs. Okay. Now in here we have MakerBase MKS DLC 3221 XYZ YAML. So this is for controlling the XYZ board. I typically use this with the lasers, so I make it XYY. I'll show you guys in the next video how to do that one. Right now we're just going to do simple setup of this YAML. Okay? So let's take a look here. What's going on? Board, MKS DLC, that's good. Name, make sure to give it a cool name. I know this board is made to be used in the K40 laser, but make sure to give it something cool. Like, I'll call this Shark Beam. There we go. Okay, meta. Make sure you label this whatever you're doing. Let's see, so today is 8/19/2022. So I like to use my year first. 2022 08-19. And then this is by Brack the Hun. There we go. Okay. Kinematics, Cartesian, that's what we're going to be doing here. I'll go more over this in a different video. So this is something we have to pay attention to. I2S, okay? Now, not all the pins are directly connected to the board here, right? So it's got an ESP32 over here. You think like direction and enable and all that stuff might be like connected directly to pins. It's got a lot of pins on the ESP32, but it uses this little shift register right here to actually give it 8 more pins. Well, it sort of takes up 3 pins. Let's see, I'll show you down here what it takes for I2S. There we go. So I2S streaming used these 3 pins to give it 8 more pins. But you can actually hook up 4 of these shift registers. You can give it 32 extra pins with just 3 pins. Output pins anyways, not input pins. Okay, so I2S. But all stepping has to use I2S if we have I2S chosen. Okay, keep that in mind. If we want it to hold the motors always when after we've homed or after we unlocked it, we can change this to 255, and now it's going to lock all the motors whenever it's on. But I don't like it to do that, so I'm going to leave that at 0. You could also leave it at like anywhere between 0 and 254. Okay, here we go. We're going to be setting up X here. Okay, let's see. So first of all, the axis have a shared separate disable pin. So this will turn on and off all the steppers. They're not individual. It's shared. Okay. X here. So if I'm using the DRV 8825 and I've got a 20 stepper or 20 tooth GT2 sprocket running this belt, I'm actually at 160 steps per millimeter. I'll show you that in another video how to do math. And this thing should be able to cruise. It's pretty light, especially with nothing on it. I'm going to set this to like 25,000. There you go. So 25,000 millimeters per minute. So basically 25 meters a minute. Okay. Acceleration, I like to up this too. On my things anyways here. Max travel. So I'm going to sort of estimate this. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to bring this over here until it clicks my end stop. Okay, clicked it right there. Then I'm going to unclick it and grab a tape measure here. So it should be able to travel, I think, exactly 400 millimeters. So I'm going to type that in, 400. Okay. I can change this later. I'm going to have to change a few things later. Soft limits, I like soft limits on that. That way you don't go beyond too far here. Okay. So yeah, if you tell it to keep going, instead of crashing into the motor here, it will just not go. Kind of nice. Okay, so if you make it a cycle 1, that's going to be the first thing it homes. If you make it cycle 0, it's not going to home it. Okay? If you make it cycle 2, it'll be the second, etc. Okay, so I'm going to make this the first cycle it does is home X. Positive direction, so that's positive direction, right? To the right and up with your z-axis. That's all positive. Right now it's set to false. I want that to be true. I want it to be true that homing is in the positive direction because we're still under the homing setup, right? So homing, true. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now we have feed rate, like the gentle touch to make sure it's touch it like perfectly. Got a perfect setting for 0. This is the one where it finds it. I'm actually going to speed this up. I'm super impatient. So just find it as fast as you can. I don't care if you run into it. Let's pull off a certain amount. Let's see. Oh, we'll set that in a second. Okay. Settle for half a second. That's fine. We can go 1.1 times beyond. So if I have this set to 400 millimeters and this thing has traveled 440 or 1.1 times the max travel, it's going to error out. Okay, it's not just going to keep running to the side all day. It's going to go a little bit further and error out. So 1.1 is fine. Okay, so here we go. Motor 0, limit negative pin, GPIO 36. So if I look on my board here at the X, that's this port right here. Okay, this port on the right. I've had issues with these boards not working with that port. So I'm actually going to move it over. I want to steal the Y axis one. I'm going to swap them. So I'm going to go down to Y. That uses 35. This uses 36. I'll swap those. Okay. So this will use 36. This one will use 35. Okay. So now the Y axis will be my X end stop. The X axis will be my Y end stop, which I'm not using right now. Cool. Okay. Hard limits false. If I want to set up end stops on each side, and that way if it ran into either side, it would just stop. I could, but I don't want to do that. There we go. Pull off. So if it's running really fast into it, let's see, I might want to... 2 millimeters is fine for that. Usually it's defaulted. Gerbil defaults to 1 millimeter, but 2 is fine for the high speed stopping. Okay, and then it's going to use I2S streaming pins for the step and the direction. Okay, so we'll leave that there. I'll also set up Y. Because I'm not hooking up anything to it, I'm not going to mess with it. Okay, Z is going to run also, and I'll show you in a little bit how to make it a dual Y and still have Z going. Okay, so here's our I2S streaming, our SPI, okay, SD card setup. We have nothing for like pause, resume, hold, any of that stuff, our safety door. Okay, macros, nothing for our startup line. I don't remember if you don't know if you remember money sign N, like gives you 2 startup lines. Instead of doing that in Gerbil, this is where you type in what you want it to start with, like after homing or not. Okay, coolant. So what we can do if we want to add coolant and mist, I usually take the SDA pins and do that because it's not using I2C on here. So I'll take 0 or 4. If we look at the board down here, right after, so we got XYZ probe, and then this I2C, it says SCL and SDA, then ground and 3.3 volts up here. So I can use those to the SDA SCL pins as coolant pins if I wanted. But, let's see, we won't do that right now. Now this is an important one, laser. So it doesn't have to be a laser. It could be a spindle, but right now it's set up for laser, which I typically use anyways. So one of the big things in here is the speed mapping. Okay? Anytime you put the pound sign on here, it tells it to ignore everything here. So these are just notes. Okay? Speed map 0. If I type in S0, it's going to be at 0%. If I type in 12.5, it's still going to be 0. Okay? So if I type in 1, it's going to go to 12.5%, right? It's actually going to jump it up a ton. And then 1700 will run the maximum of that laser. Okay, I don't like 1700. That's a weird number. Typically it's 255 or 1000. I'll make this 1000 and I'll get rid of that 0 equals 12.5%. That way you tell it to be 0, it's 0. You tell it to be 1, it's 1, well, I guess 0.1%, right? Etc. Okay. And we don't need that baloney here. There we go. Okay. What else we got? Start home. Must home. False. So if I'm going to run startup lines, that's got to be true, or else it's just going to start up and do all sorts of goofy things. So right now, I'll make this this true, and we can unlock it later. Okay, so once I got all this stuff set up, so you got a cool name, right, and all your other stuff in here. Hit File, Save As. Don't overwrite your file, right? And I'm going to label this laser. There we go. Hit Save. Cool. Okay, so I still have my board plugged in, and see, do we still have that? Yep, we still have this up. Okay, so we can type in Control U on here to grab that file we just made. So let's go to Downloads, FluidNC main, example configs, and let's find laser. There it is, laser.yaml. Perfect. Okay, double click on that, and then hit enter. And there it goes. It shows us uploading. Cool. Okay, if you did not still have this open, you can always go back to your downloads folder. Okay, so we go to downloads. We go to FluidNC Win64. FluidNC Win64 and open up Fluid Terminal. Okay, Fluid Terminal will give you access to upload and download things from your board. Okay, let's see, where are we at? Okay, so that's all uploaded. While we're here, we're going to upload one more thing that's very important. Let's type in Control U. We're going to go back to downloads and our Win64, and then we're going to go to Wi-Fi and index.html.gz. So if you want to connect to this over Wi-Fi, we have to have this file on there. I'm going to double click that and also hit enter. This one's a little bit bigger of a file. So we'll do that. Okay. I think it goes up to 125 and then says, yeah, success, whatever. Maybe, oh yeah, I'll say received. Cool. There it goes. Okay, so now that we've got everything on it, we want to reset the processor here. Okay, so money sign buy. Okay, cool. So processor's reset. It's still looking for this configuration file, config.yaml. So we have to change that. So let's look at the config files. I'm going to type in money sign config, hit enter, and it says config/file name equals config.yaml. Let's change that. So I'm going to type in money sign config. Let's see. Oh, it's not showing. I want to make sure it shows what I'm typing. I want to close this out, and I'm going to open up Fluid Terminal. Okay. And if you have multiple like serial ports open, it's going to give you like a 0, 1, 2. Type in the number corresponding to the serial port, and then hit enter. But since I only have this is the only thing showing up. So I'm going to type in, let's see, money config. There you go. /file name. So these commands, you don't need to be like case sensitive, but some of these like the commands you give it, like the file here is capital LASCR .yaml. Make sure that's all case sensitive, okay? And then got too much stuff. Oh. Okay. Whoops. Okay, let's fix that. Okay, well, I guess we can't just go back and do that. That's all right. Money config /file name equals laser.yaml. There we go. Okay, cool. So it's still not going to be running off it until we reset it. Okay, so I'm going to type in money buy. There we go. Sweet. Okay, so now, I did not do case sensitive, my bad. So I'm going to hit up, and go back to that. So capital L, enter, then money sign buy. There we go. Hey, there we go. All right. So let's see. It's, yep, pulling up laser.yaml. Liked it. Okay, it's a green message. Machine is a shark beam. Okay, I don't remember putting that there. Let's check that. No, I didn't put that there. Okay, it must be part of the message. That's cool. Oh yeah, it's doing that everywhere. Okay. Oh, I see. Every message is in brackets. Okay, board MKS. So all the stuff I typed in, I2SO, and the pins for I2SO. So every time it starts up, it's gonna give me this info. Not every time, but I can tell it to give me this info anytime. Cool. Okay, looking good here. Looking good. I liked it. If there's any errors, look at what the error is, and then fix your spelling if you need to. Or if we have questions, just message, comment, find me on the internet. Okay, so this is looking good so far. Let's go back to our bench here, because now we need to actually hook this up. So I'm going to unplug the power. Okay, unplug the USB. And a few things we need to hook up. One is the stepper driver. Okay. And I do not have nails, but I have tools. So I'm going to take this heat sink and peel off the sticky, and yeah, I place it over the little black chip there. There we go. But I sort of center it. So you see how the chip right there is a little bit to the left, but the heat sink's a little bit to the right of it, because I like to sort of center it on the board so it doesn't touch anything metal up here. Okay, make sure that's good and on. And then if I look at the back of the board, it gives a layout of what these pins are. And if I look at the back of this, I can see it says enable in the upper right. Okay, matches enable on this pin, and vmote matches VM. Cool. Down here's direction, down here is ground, and down here's direction, down here's ground. Cool. So I know if I hook this up just like that into X here, it's the right way. You can flip them and get in the wrong way. You'll make some smoke. But you won't like hurt the board, you'll just hurt the driver. Okay. What else do we got? We have the end stop, which I use the Y end stop for X. So I'm gonna have to plug it into the Y, right? Second one in. And then the stepper motor. So doesn't matter which way we twist it, we can always fix this later. Okay. Plug that in, there we go. And then I'm gonna sort of center this so I don't like mess anything up. Okay. So let's take a look here. We've got the stepper motor installed. We've got the end stop, and we've got let's see what else. Oh, the driver. Okay. Now, if we just turn this on, it might run that driver pretty hard and basically burn it out. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn the driver down. I'll have another video where I show you guys how to tune it. But these drivers come in way too hot, and I'm going to turn it clockwise to turn it down. See if I can grab that here. There's a little potentiometer on the top. Nope, too big. There's the right size. Okay. There we go. Yeah, these things only turn like half a turn. If you ever do more, it's gonna bust them. Okay, so I'm gonna set it a little over 45 degrees down. Hopefully that's fine. If it still overheats, I'll turn it down further. But you have to pull out the voltage, the volt ohm meter to figure out exactly where you're at and do some math. Okay. So that's somewhat set. I'll call it good. Okay. And then we're going to add power and USB to this. There we go. Okay. And we still have this up. I'm going to close this window back down. Okay. And now you can use Fluid Terminal to do all this, but I'm going to use Laser Gerbil. I'm a much bigger fan of using Laser Gerbil to control all this. Okay. There we go. Even though Laser Gerbil can't actually scrape FluidNC yet, hopefully it will soon. And so there's homing enabled on this board, but Laser Gerbil doesn't actually show. Whoops, wrong one. Laser Gerbil doesn't actually show homing available. So let's see. We're on COM 13. I hit connect. Okay. Lots of data here. Still no homing. That's okay. Even says money H, money X to unlock. So let's do that. Let's go to the console here. You can also do this in Fluid Terminal. Money X. Okay, hit enter. There we go. Okay, because I have... Let's go back to our split here. Because I have it homing in the positive direction, it's going to think when I unlock it that it's already there. And so it's not going to let me go to the right here. Right? It's not going to move that way. But I'm going to bring it down to, there you go, 20. If I go to the left, it's going to let me move, which I got this direction right. Perfect. Cool. If I did not have this direction right, I could go to my YAML here, go to my X, and go to that motor, that direction pin, and I can type in :low. That's going to tell it to go opposite, because typically it pulses it high, the direction, to go whatever direction, to go positive. Instead of going high, though, if I type in :low, it'll go pull it low, and it'll go opposite direction on here. So if I needed to change that, I could. But it looks like I don't. Cool. Okay. Whoops. Bring Gerbil back up. There we go. Okay, I'm definitely going to speed this up, too. Looks like the last thing I had was 6,000 speed. That's all the speed we get. Oh, well, we'll do some other speed tests on here. But it's moving well. Okay. And I just realized I forgot to do something in the YAML. Let's go back to here, and we're going to have to re-upload it and reset everything. Okay, let's look at our Y. Homing cycle is currently set to 1 also, which we don't want a homing cycle on Y. So I'm going to set that to 0. Let's see, Z has a 0 for cycle. Cool. File save. Let's see, we're going to have to disconnect from Gerbil. Okay. Go to our fluid terminal. Okay. Control U. And get used to doing this if you got a lot of things to set up on your board here. Downloads, FluidNC main, example configs, and laser. All right, hit enter, and it's gonna upload the new YAML with the change code. There we go. And then let's do money sign by to reset it. There we go. Okay, cool. Gonna close this out. Let's bring Gerbil back up. Reconnect. Cool. Okay. And now, before we get too far, I want to type in money X here. And I want to verify that my limit switches are working. Okay. So I'm going to type in money limits. There we go. Okay. So right now it thinks everything's active, which we probably don't want. Okay. I click this in. I think X is unactive. I let go, and it thinks it's active. So right now, it thinks everything's touching the ends. So we need to fix that too. When I push it in, it thinks it's off. But when I let go, it thinks it's on. So currently that's backwards. Let's go back to our YAML, right? Gonna have to do this a few times. So let's stop this first. So I'm gonna type in money, or no, just, I think it's just exclamation point, enter. Yep, okay, exclamation point stops it, cool. Okay, go back to our YAML here. So we have to invert these direction pins, not the direction, these end stop pins. So let's find our end stops here. Okay, limit pin 35. So it's 35, but it activates on a low signal. Whoops. By default, it's high signal, so it senses positive voltage. This one needs to sense ground. Okay, so that's X. Let's go down to Y. I want to copy and paste this. There we go. Copy that. Let's go to motor 1. Paste that. And then Z and paste that. Where's our... There it is. There's the motor stuff. Okay. Paste that. File save. Go to Gerbil. Disconnect. Open up Fluid Terminal. And we're going to type in Control U. Go back to our laser YAML. Enter. One of these days we'll get this to work right. All right, sweet. Let's close this down. Go back to our Gerbil here. Okay, and then reconnect. And now let's type in money limits. Enter. All right. Oh, you know what? I know why that didn't work. So we uploaded that new YAML, right? But we did not reset the board. So money by. Enter. All right. Now let's do a money X. So money X. Enter. Okay, it's unlocked, and then money sign limits. Cool. There we go. Now nothing's showing up. Perfect. So I'll click that. We're good. Okay, let go. It works good. Oh, that makes me curious if that's going to work out well. I want to change this back to the X pin. I click it. It works. Okay, so I didn't have to swap that on this one. Maybe we got a weird batch or something. I don't know. But yeah, I had issues with that. Okay, click it. So nothing's touching. Click it. It found the X and stop. Perfect. Okay, so now that I know that works, so I verified both that it goes in the right direction. So when I tell it to go right, it goes to the right. When I tell it to go left, it goes to the left. Also verified that it's sensing the end stop here. Now I can run the homing cycle. Okay, I want to type in money sign H. Enter. And there we go. Nice and fast. And then gently touches it. Perfect. Cool. Nice. All right. Cool. Okay, let's bring it all the way. Oh, it just ran to the side. Did it? Okay, so I got a little too long there. So I'm going to hit home again. Oh, not hit home because laser Gribble won't scrape FluidNC. There we go. One thing I really wish it did, I wish it told you how far off it was. So if I go over here, okay, still not touching, but it's about to touch. And let's change the stepping to 2. Okay, so we're just a tiny bit away, and we're at 398. I'm going to change this to 1. Okay, still not quite touching. I'm going to go down to 0.5. Okay, now it looks like it's just barely touching. Okay, so when we set it to 400, that was fine. But 400, well, it's not quite right though, right? Let's make sure we put the right amount in there. So I said 400. Let's make this 399. 399. File save. Okay. Another thing we're going to do though is after it homes, I want it to come back to this original position and set it as 0. So I'm going to set that over here. So must home is true. Perfect. So then we need to do a G53 under our startup lines. There's our startup line. Okay, so first thing it does after it's done homing is a G53 X negative, let's see, let's go almost all the way. Negative 395. Okay. And then G92 X0. So it sets where it's at the 0 point. Okay, so G53 is moved from where you are negative 395 millimeters, which is this way. Okay, so it's going to go 395, and then it's going to set it as a 0 point. Okay, if everything runs right. File save. Okay, let's go over to Gerbil, disconnect, and again, let's open up Fluid Terminal. Okay, Control U, and then grab that laser file again, hit enter. There we go, and then this time let's reset it. So money sign buy. There we go. Okay. So now this thing's locked out. We can't actually move it, right? So if I hit connect, okay, yeah, it's not even giving me messages here. That's okay. Yeah, everything's locked. Nothing's active. So I'm going to type in money H, hit enter, and there it goes. Homes. Perfect. And then, yep, comes right over here with about 4.5 millimeters between and sets it to 0. I don't know why it says handle broken, but there we go. Cool. All right, so hopefully that gives you guys a clue on how to set it up. So you're going to have to do that for all 3 axes if you want. I'll show you real quick, give you a clue if you're using 2 Y motors. And I'll do this in another video. Let's go up to our motors here. So we've got motor 0 for Y, right? But what we're going to do is take Z here. Z's motors, we're going to steal and put it over there. So I'm going to copy this. Okay. Hit enter. Enter and paste that. There you go. Whoa. Got to make sure you're spaced over. This one's 4 spaces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 spaces. Change that to motor 1. Okay. Yep, same GPIO, I2S. Okay, 3 and 4. But we can't have 2 things with the same motor, right? So motor or 2 pins using the same 1 pin controlling 2 motors. There we go. So with this right here, where it says GPIO 34.low, what we're going to do here is instead type in no, so capital N, capital O, underscore PIN. Okay? Okay, so we could also type in no pin here, except for we're using I2S streaming. So we have to give it an I2S value. Now I mentioned we have a shift register, which gives it 8, right? So the ESP32 doesn't actually know how many shift registers we have. So instead of using 3 and 4, this will be now 8 and 9, okay? So the first 8 are 0, so 0, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 0 through 7 are 8 different pins. So 8 and 9 are beyond that shift register. So it'll pulse to it. It just won't do anything. Okay. So now we can hit file save. Okay. And we do the upload again and run it. And now these 2 pins here. So X would be, or sorry, Y would be the Y motor, right? So the Y motor driver would run the Y motor, which would hit that end stop. And the Y you put in the Z driver slot would activate with the Z end stop pins. Okay. I think that's where I'm going with this video. I'll eventually drag a laser in here and show you all the setup that takes. And thanks for watching.